Is Europe really behind these attacks? Have they supported? Have they helped Ukraine in any manner? Everybody's trying to stay away from this attack because this could invite a lot of trouble for those countries as well, should they be involved and should Putin really want to respond. We were talking to German ambassador to India, Ambassador Philipp Ackermann, and you can see the whole interview on India Today Global. But here's a part of the interview where we're talking about whether if Europe was involved or knew about these attacks planned by Ukraine. How is Germany looking at what has happened in the past 2 days? The attack on Russia, unprecedented. Russia has never faced or has ever been faced with such an attack. And expect a reaction, but did Europe know about it?
It is quite an operation, one has to say, and I'm, getting my knowledge from open sources here, but it's quite fascinating to see, what such an operation can cause, what damage it can cause, and how well it was prepared. So it's quite an impressive military performance, if I may say.
Yeah. You guys want to come in? You guys can come in.
You think this was all Ukraine, or was there support from the NATO?
So what we know is that the Ukrainians have a very sophisticated drone production. So basically, it will be, after this war, will be very interesting for us to see and also to purchase maybe. They have a very good way of producing simple but super effective drones. So I think what you've seen is a consequence of their year-long development of these drones. I think the Netflix series style element of it was the lorries parked near the airports. That is quite fascinating to see. But I think the devices that struck were Ukrainian productions, where you have to see that this is a country that can really produce some very, very efficient arms.
Sure, but I mean, after Spider's Web, obviously we're still trying to find out exactly what happened there. It does seem as if the tables have turned, and Europe looks like kind of the warring party, whereas the US is talking about peace. I mean, this attack came just as leaders of Russia and Ukraine were going to meet, and it looked like the peace deal was in its last few stages. Do you think Europe, in a sense, now bears the brunt of what happens?
I don't think that the peace deal was in its last stages. I don't think that, when you read the Russian conditions, you remember the Russians would not even put their ideas on the table before the delegations met. So I think actually the Russian maximalistic positions have not changed, and these positions are unaccepted for the other side. I think there is no such, not much of a difference between the US and Europe when it comes to peace, that we want to stop this war, that we want to sit down and negotiate, but there must be a sort of a common understanding on which conditions that happens. Now, when the Russians say they want all the provinces to be regarded as Russian territories, although they didn't conquer them, I mean, there is only, it's still a third or more is still unconquered. Then they say no mobilization of Ukrainian soldiers anymore, no foreign weapons from the West to Ukraine, and neutrality and never becoming member of NATO. That's not a basis on which you can negotiate. These are maximalist positions, and I think the Americans share this view. We have had Lindsey Graham, the senator from South Carolina, in Berlin yesterday, and he again, put his plan on additional sanctions on the table in Berlin, and apparently he had very good discussions with the German leadership. Chancellor Merz is on his way to Washington right now, so I think we are not that far away from the Americans when it comes to how such a peace should look like. So I think it would be wrong to presume that the Russians came with a ready-made peace deal. That's not the case.